أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما وألهمني بالصالحين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you all, my dear students? Are you all fine? So we'll have to continue reading of unit number 3, that is. Okay, unit number 3. And the unit is all about the telephone line. Okay, that for the first time, please mute yourself if you are not reading. So this unit is all about the telephone. Okay, that for the first time the telephone was what connection was brought to the home of Mr. Kamal. And Mr. Kamal and his family, they were really excited. They were really excited about the telephone. So I have to continue reading. Who will read, boys? And Umar Yunus, mute yourself, okay? Who will read? Sayyid Mustafa, start reading. Sayyid Ahmed Mustafa.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Start reading, Sayyid Ahmed Mustafa.
ये इस सर वो मुझे कोई व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है क्लास 4 का?
No group, okay? If you want to make one, you can.
Okay.
You
Thank you.
can make, okay?
Okay.
And you will be the admin then. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Collect their contact numbers, okay? And then make a group and you will be the admin, okay?
From where can I collect numbers?
Okay, I'll give you.
Okay.
I'll give you the list and then you can collect class 4 gray and make a group, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Now you will have to start from the words to know or difficult words and move on, okay?
Okay.
Yes. So sorry, wrong number. Emporium means a large supermarket, you can say. An engineer means a person who knows to do what? To repair machines or make machines. The next is handset. As I had told you that handset is what? The receiver of a phone, okay, which has a mic to speak and a speaker to what? To what? To receive or to hear the sound. And then handset is that, and prod, that is somehow to hit someone with a finger or somehow to poke someone with anything. And you had learned the word poke, if you remember, in the wise old. And then the next is when dead. When dead mean when a thing is completely exhausted or out of function, you can call it, okay, or no more of use. So that is what that is when dead.
Dadaji.
And then we'll have to come towards the unit. So who will start reading?
I.
Yeah, start reading.
Sir, can I read?
Yes, you can. Why not?
Sorry, wrong. Sorry, wrong number. Mr. Kamal was pleased. He had the wallet waited for a telephone connection for many months, and now at last he had one. The engineer arrived in the morning. They fitted the tiny black box in the wall, connected a few cables to pole outside the house. What a lot of noise they made. Mr. Kamal Mr. Kamal did not mind. He made the engineers cup of tea. The engineers a cup of tea and helped them when he could. In engineer, the engineer had gone, and Mr. Sat and gazed lovely and at the smart new telephone at the hall. He couldn't hardly wait for his wife and son to get home. Mr. Kamal picked up the phone and put it put it to his ear. Hello, he said. Yes, it's Kamal here. How nice of you to call. Yes, I can hear you quite clearly. Read on. Thank you. Mr. Kamal put down the
And
handset
said, Mr. Kamal put down the handset and smiled.
and
He took out
smiled.
his handkerchief and polished until it glistened, and when his wife and son Nadir came home, Mr. Kamal showed off the new telephone. The evening came. The telephone had remained silent, but that had not stopped the Kamals from picking it up whenever they passed
Over the
by.
past.
Hello, they would say, and then carefully replace the handset.
Later, when they were all sitting down to dinner, the phone rang. Burr, 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 went the phone.
Okay, move ahead.
All three jumped up and rushed to the telephone. Mr. Kamal cleared throat and picked up the handset. Hello, Mr. Kamal here. He said
All
slowly
three
and
of them
clearly.
jumped up and rushed to the telephone. Mr. Kamal cleared his throat like this, picked up the handset. Hello, Mr. Kamal here. He said slowly and clearly, this is Mrs. Arif, said a shrill voice. Okay, now move on.
Where are my clothes? I ordered them 3 days ago. They haven't arrived yet. I beg your pardon, said a shocked Mr. Kamal. Is that fancy goods your emporium? Asked the woman. No, I think you have a wrong number, madam, replied Mr. Kamal. The phone vendor, Mr. Kamal, was very excited. He put down the handset and told his wife and son about the woman. You should have asked her A phone number, said Mr. Kamal. Mrs. Kamal.
What
Then
is the problem with you, man?
we could have given her a call sometime. The following morning, the phone rang in again. This time, Mrs. Kamal got to it first. Hello, she said. Do you have any skills curve? Asked the caller. Skills curves? Asked Mrs. Kamal, puzzled. Yes, skills covered, replied the caller. I don't think so, said Mrs. Kamal. Is is that fancy goods emporium? Asked the caller. Hmm. Asked the caller. No, this is Mrs. Kamal and Mr. Kamal. And the line went dead. Few minutes later, phone rang again. We seem to have popular number, said Mr. Kamal as he rushed and answered the phone. But this time Nadir got there first. He held the phone to his ear but said nothing from the line to time. He shook his head
Vigorously, he shook his head vigorously from side to side.
side says something, said his father. Say something, said his father, forwarding him back.
Okay. Nadir put the phone down.
Nadir put the phone down. Who was it? Asked Mr. Kumar. Some lady asking for fancy gold emporium, replied Nadir. Then why didn't you say something? Asked his father. The caller can't see you. Shaking your head. That day, were
That day, there were 17 calls
for
for the fancy goods emporium.
emporium and not a single call from Mr. Kamal's. Mr. Kamal was quite fed up. I shall have to ring the telephone company and complain. He grumbled in the evening just as they were going to have the dinner. The telephone rang again. Mr. Kamal got there first because she was standing near the phone. When it rang, hello, said Mr. Kamal. He tried man on the tired man on the other end of the line asked, and what time does the film begin? I beg your pardon, said said Mrs. Kamal. I think you have the wrong number. It began half an hour, said man loudly. What a pity. No, no, this is not cinema, said Mr. Mrs. Kamal. I don't know what time. The phone went dead. What was that all about? Asked Mr. Kamal. Mr. Kamal told Kamal, Mr. Kamal and Nadir about the call. I can't understand, she said, frowning. Is what does? Why didn't the man listen to me?
Move on, man.
Have the man didn't listen to me. Mr. Kamal suddenly started cackling. What a joke, asked Nadir. Well, you see, said Mr. Kamal, the man's wife must have wanted to see the film, but man did not. So he rang our phone and pretended he talking about cinema. His wife heard him speaking, but she could not hear what your mother was saying. Replied, "How clever!" They all laughed at the joke. "Wish someone call us and not a wrong one number," said Nadir before he went to the bed.
Okay, anyone else who want to read?
Me.
Yeah, start from the top, okay, the beginning.
Mr. Kamal was pleased. He had waited for a telephone connection for many months, and now at last he had one. The engineers arrived in the morning. They fitted a tiny black box in the wall and connected a few cables to a tall pole outside the house. What a lot of noises they made! But Mr. Kamal did not mind. He made the engineers cup of tea and helped them when he could. After the engineers had gone, Mr. Kamal sat and gazed lovingly at the smart new telephone in the hall. He could hardly wait for his wife and son to get home. Mr. Kamal picked up the phone and put it to his ear. "Hello, hello," he said. "Yes, it's Kamal here. How nice of you to call. Yes, I can hear you quite clearly. Pardon.
Pardon means forgive. Excuse me, you can say.
Pardon. Thank you." Mr. Kamal put down the handset and smiled. He took
Smiled,
his
not smiled. This is smiled, okay?
smiled. He took out his handkerchief and polished until it glistened. When
Glisten,
his
glisten.
wife and son Nadir
The word glisten means shine, okay?
gl-
The word glisten means shine.
okay, glistened when
Not
his
glisten, T is silent.
glistened,
Glistening.
glistened.
Yeah, okay.
When his wife and son Nadir came home, Mr. Kamal showed off the new telephone. The evening came, the telephone had remained silent, but that had not stopped the Kamal from picking it up whenever they passed by. "Hello," they would say, and then carefully replace the handset. Later, when they were all sitting down to dinner, the phone rang. Buzz, 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 buzz. When the telephone, all three of them jumped up and rushed to the telephone. Mr. Kamal cleared his throat and picked up the handset. "Hello, Mr. Kamal here," he said slowly and clearly. "This is Mrs. Arif," said a shrill voice on the other end of the line. Where are my clothes? I ordered them 3 days ago. They haven't arrived yet. I beg your pardon," said a shocked Mr. Kamal. "Is that fancy goods emporium?" asked the woman. "No, I think you have the wrong number, madam, replied Mr. Kamal. Then the phone went dead. Mr. Kamal was very excited. He put down the handset and told his wife and son about the woman. You should have asked her for her number, said Mr. Kamal.
Mrs.
Mis-
Kamal.
Then we could have given her a call sometime. The following morning, the phone rang again. This time, Mrs. Kamal got to it first. Hello, she said. Do you have any silk scarves? Asked the caller. Silk scarves? Asked Mrs. Kamal, puzzled. Yes, silk scarves, replied the caller. I don't think
That
so,
is
said
scarves.
Mrs.
Okay, scarves. You know, this is plural of scarf. You know, scarf, scarf, a shawl-like thing that the woman wears. You know, scarf, head scarf. You know.
Yes,
Okay, so plural of scarf is scarves.
yes,
Okay, got it?
got it,
Yeah.
replied the caller. I don't think so, said Mrs. Kamal. Is that fancy good emporium? Asked the caller. No, this is Mrs. Kamal, said Mrs. Kamal, and the line went dead. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. We seem to have a popular number, said Mr. Kamal as he rushed to answer the phone. But this time, Nadir got there first. He held the phone to his ear but said nothing. From time to time, he shook his head vigorously.
Vigorously. Vigorously. The word vigorously means violently with power.
From side to side. Say something, said his father, prodding him in the back. Nadir put the phone down. Who was it? Asked Mrs. Kamal. Some lady asking for fancy goods emporium, replied Nadir. Then why didn't you say anything? Asked his father. The caller can't see you shaking your hand. That day there were 17 calls from the fancy good emporium and not a single call for the Kamals. Mr. Kamal was quite fed up. I shall have to ring the telephone company and complain, he grumbled. In the evening, just as they were going to have their dinner, the telephone rang again. Mrs. Kamal got there first because she was standing near the phone when it rang. Hello, said Mrs. Kamal. A tired man on the other end of the line asked, at what time does the film begin? I beg your pardon, said
Pardon, not pardon. Pardon.
Said Mrs. Kamal. I think you have the wrong number. It begins half an hour, said the man loudly. What a pity. No, no, this is not the cinema, said Mrs. Kamal. I don't know what time. Then the phone went dead. What was that all about? Asked Mr. Kamal. Mrs. Kamal told Mr. Kamal and Nadir about the car. I can understand it, she said, frowning. Why didn't the man listen to me? Mr. Kamal suddenly started chuckling. What's the joke? Question mark. Asked Nadir. Well, you see, said Mr. Kamal. The man's wife just had wanted to see the film, but the man did not. So he rang our number and pretended he was talking to the cinema. His wife heard him speaking, but she could not hear what your mother was saying in reply. How clever! They all laughed at the joke. I wish someone would call us and not a wrong number, said
Okay, thank you so much. I think this should be the end of the period because it's 12:29 now. So thank you so much for reading, and you will have to read it and point out the difficult words, and then inshallah tomorrow we will have rest of the work. Thank you so much for staying with me and have a good day ahead. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.